Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beneath Vancouver Radio, episode number 53. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful day. And again, appreciate you tuning in wherever you may be, either West Coast, East Coast, which actually brings me into a nice little transition into the special guest that I have today. Usually, again, as the name kind of stays for this podcast, we chat with people local to the Vancouver Lower Mainland area. But that's not to say that there's amazing people all over, not just Canada, but all over this world. But in today's episode, we actually have a special guest from the other coast, East Coast side, and we have Naila here from Toronto or just Ontario in general.
Ottawa.
Ottawa. Sorry, Ottawa. So from Ottawa there, and she's joining us in this episode, and she's got an amazing story that I'm ready to hear and ready for her to share to the audience here that we have today. But thank you for taking the time.
Thank
Um,
you for having me.
yeah, for sure. So I just want to start off here by saying you're 15, so you were doing amazing work already. And again, I'm not going to spoil as much information on because I'll let you kind of share everything that you're doing, but just starting off this episode by wow, I'm super amazed by the work that you're doing, and again, a huge kudos
Thank
to you.
you.
I mean, I'm thinking back when I was 15. What is that? Grade nine? Grade nine? Grade yeah.
Yeah,
Grade
grade
nine.
9.
I was playing video games all day and going to have. It's just like crazy, right? So again, I'm super. I'm proud to see the ambition. Again, it just puts a nice warm feeling in my heart knowing that these are our future leaders, right? Our future generation that's coming up and doing all these amazing works. But anyways, they don't want to hear me. They didn't come here to listen to me talk. Nyla, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on here today.
Yeah, no worries. So let's start off again, kind of as I start all the other episodes, and share a little bit about yourself. Again, all the amazing work that you're doing, and answer this question, which is, who are you today?
Yeah, so I'm a 15-year-old. I'm really passionate about the intersection between sustainable energy and nanotechnology. So I have a goal of putting an end to our global consumption of fossil fuels or playing a role in that. So I've done a few projects there, mainly within solar energy and fusion energy, and then I'm also a writer, so I love to write fantasy. I just had my first novel released, and I'm working on another novel right now, and a children's book series as well. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow. Yeah, just a little bit, right? No, that's that's amazing, and I like how you touch upon like sustainability and all these things that are obviously sustainable energy as well, and really crucial to the future of our world, right? I think that's been a very hot topic, as it should be, in my opinion. These last couple of I would say years recently, obviously about climate change and understanding, renewable energy and everything along those lines. But I'm curious as to, and I'm sure again the audience is thinking the same as someone your age and someone that's again only 15. How do you get involved in these like projects, right? And how do you get exposed to these different aspects of the world?
Yeah. So I think it just starts with exposure. That's all you need. So I
Hmm.
before this year I knew I was interested in the environmental sector. That's pretty broad though. So this year I actually joined a student accelerator program called the Knowledge Society, and it's
Right.
exposing you to all these emerging technologies. And so the first one that I went to, there are these explorers, and they're basically compilations of resources on a specific topic, just like blockchain, AI, nanotech. Um, Fusion energy, things like that. So one of them was
Hmm.
alternative energy, and I knew, I'm interested in this, so let me do it. And so I crossed
Right.
the like module of fusion energy, and I'd never really heard of it before. And I got really interested in that, and so that's the first thing that I really did in sustainable energy, just doing things within fusion. And then through that I was doing more explorers, and I became really interested in solar energy as well, but specifically its intersection with nanomaterials, and quantum dots is what I did a lot of research within. But mainly it's just exposure and research, because when you're exposed to these really awesome, cool concepts, there are a lot, so you'll probably get interested in one. It's just about, like, just take that initiative and just go and look for things that you're interested in, and don't let your age be a barrier, because you can be interested in quantum computing when you're in high school.
Hmm.
It's not, sometimes when people think quantum computing, they think, older people, that's reserved for older people, not for me to work on. But really, you can do what you put your mind to.
Right.
You can do the research. Just expose yourself to those kinds of things.
Yeah, no, I fully agree for sure, and I think as well, it's nice to hear again, as I mentioned earlier, that like our younger generation and again our future leaders of the world, whether it's in quantum physics or politics or whatever the case might be, are interested at such a young age because I think it's that passion and that interest that, as you mentioned, allows you to develop your interest even further, right? And trying out these different things and being involved in these certain projects. And obviously, I'm not by any means as interested in like quantum, computing or these different aspects of the
For
world. But
sure.
similar to me, it's kind of like my interest in sharing people's stories and having a story with them and communicating with individuals on a more personal level is kind of what allowed me to push myself to and have this podcast, right, and continue to grow this podcast. And that's why we're in episode number 53. It's not just because I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, here we go, another podcast episode. Oh, okay, all right. Like that's obviously not the case. I'm here because I enjoy it, right? And I enjoy
Yeah.
having these stories and being able to share that with not just myself, but with the audience that we've got here in the podcast. So I like
Yeah.
hearing that as well, and I'm interested actually in hearing a little bit more about that accelerator program because I'm not sure how schooling over there is out there in Ottawa, if there's a specific program or specific kind of like school that you're in. But for me personally,
Yeah.
at least through high school, there wasn't never really an ability or time to get exposed to what you would consider like more advanced, and I'm using air quotes, advanced kind of level of learning, right? Such as quantum computing and solar energy and stuff like that. I took biology, I took physics, that like more base,
Mhm.
not basic, but standard curriculum. So what's that kind of experience been in being surrounded with? I'm assuming people like yourself in like a program that you went through.
Yeah, so it's not really a part of school, not affiliated there. It's like very different than school because you are
Hmm.
working on learning things that you're not learning in school, like these emerging technologies, like you said, and then actually applying that knowledge. And there's a ton of emphasis on building projects, but it's called the Knowledge Society. I joined this year. It's been absolutely incredible. I would recommend any students to join because you will learn so much. You're surrounded by this amazing community all around the world. And
Is it
and you're
sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
Is it
go ahead.
countrywide or?
Yeah, so it's actually global, but there are different like
Oh, okay.
city programs, and then you can reach out to anyone around the world. So I'm a part of the Ottawa program because I'm from Ottawa, and so there's a specific Ottawa
Mhm.
director who's kind of like your mentor. But then that's how it is all around the world, and what you can do that I really love, you can it's called brain dating, and you can really reach out to anybody around the world because we're all a part of this platform, and you can get to know someone
Right.
anywhere, like from Boston, from Vegas, from LA. So I've made friends all around the world who
Mhm.
are doing these really ambitious and crazy, crazy things, solving big problems, who all want to make impact. So it's really nice. And I'm really
Wow.
lucky to have this community around me. But yeah, they put a lot of emphasis on,
Mhm.
choosing something that you might be interested in and developing passions through actually doing things that some people might think only older people do that, but actually going out and building projects in that field and make yourself legit and to some level of like a degree of expertise in a field. So it's
Mhm.
pretty awesome program. I'm really lucky to have it.
Yeah, no, it sounds really cool, and it's definitely something that I think a lot of people should take advantage of, especially if they
Yeah.
are within that opportunity and have that. And there's all these resources out there as well that, unfortunately, again, I'm not sure. I've been out of high school for, oh gosh, I'm aging myself here, but I think almost 8 years now. No, 7. No, yeah, around 8, I think. I don't know, maybe even longer. I haven't had a 10-year reunion yet, so we haven't reached that moment of my life just yet. But what the point that I'm trying to get across is the the school system, again, obviously probably has changed and will continue to develop as society changes and things change, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that I kind of wish, or that I had, when I was a kid or when I was younger, I'm still a kid, it feels like, at least, is the ability to be exposed to these things, right? And hear
Yeah.
about these different resources that are available for students who, may or may not be interested. And you're exposed potentially to wider topics at a very small scale. But it's not until you actually surround yourself with people who are interested and have these common interests, I should say, is where you really to be able to develop that even further, such as yourself, joining the society and being able to chat with people globally, not just within Canada, but globally, and be able to share your interest and your passion with those people is when that's when the knowledge starts to develop further. So you know, it's one
Yeah.
thing that I'm happy to hear that is maybe improving on the schooling side of things, but letting people know that, you know, there's these resources available, and it not just has to be for, you know, for the, I guess, for the more the science side or STEM related stuff. But you know, I hear a lot now that there's a young entrepreneurial kind of accelerators out there for students that are in high school, and all these programs that are
Mhm.
available for students to, if they have a business idea or want to develop entrepreneurial skills,
Yeah.
to
Yeah, a
do
lot
that and
there.
be exposed to that. So again, wonderful things to hear, and I'm happy that's changing. And you know, maybe there was resources and I was just too busy stuck inside playing video games that I didn't listen. It could be my fault too. Who knows? But you know, that doesn't matter anymore. What's past is in the past now. So um, I guess as well, and I want to touch upon this a little bit within kind of, I guess, obviously you're going through high school right now, and doing a lot of different things and experiencing. What's been kind of your mindset so far now for when you graduate? Like, what's kind of, I don't want to say the next step because I don't want to limit yourself and limit your answer
Yeah.
within, you know, that kind of criteria. But what do you kind of see happening within the next couple of years as you continue to develop your skill sets and everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so I honestly don't really know what I want to do when I'm older. I think
Totally fair.
like right now it's looking like it's going to be something in the energy field, but I know like within the next few years I want to keep writing. I want to get another novel published, and I'm kind of combining my passions for writing and emerging tech, and I'm creating a children's book series on emerging tech to get students
Right.
exposed and in a fun and educational way. And then I'll do a few internships as well. So I think I'm gonna maybe be interning at IBM. We will see. That's not confirmed yet. But some potential internships down the line as well to work in workplaces. And then next year I know I want to look more into like artificial intelligence and really understanding it on another depth, because right now I have like an overview of knowledge, but I want to just go deeper there. And I also want to look into plastic pollution and seeing if I can build projects there. And then another thing that I want to do is hopefully build my solar cell. So I recently designed a transparent and flexible solar cell leveraging nanomaterials, and I want to actually get lab space to build a prototype of that because it could have some pretty cool implications. And then in
Mhm.
terms of university, I think like down the line, I likely will want to start some kind of company. In what, I don't really know. And at university, I don't really know what I want to
Yeah.
study. It might be maybe something to do with engineering. And right now, my dream school is like environmental engineering, maybe at MIT. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, right now, still abstract answer to your question. Not I'm not entirely
For
sure
sure.
what I'm going to be doing in like 4 years, but I'm just trying to learn as much as I can right now and just pushing myself there.
Yeah, no, and that's a great answer, and you summed it up really perfectly near the end there. Really, just be able to take in as much information you can, and again, at such a young age, you're like a sponge right now. You're absorbing things left, right, and center, and you're getting information from here, information from there. So, and yeah, I mean, it's that saying, and it's actually funny that this kind of topic or that this podcast came up not too long ago. Is I actually saw a tweet yesterday where this, and it was like a, you know, a hot take or a controversial take, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
This guy tweeted saying, you know, age of, or between the age of 18 to 25, it's like you build your future or you let it fail. And you know, there's some people saying like, oh well, you know, people don't necessarily know what they're doing at between 18 to 25 or even younger, even older, right? So
Thank you.
one question that I did want to ask, and again, this might be something you hear a lot, or might not be, depending on again your kind of stance on it, but what's it been kind of I guess more like the on the side of things, like, do you ever feel like you stretch yourself a little too thin? Like, obviously, you're writing and you're learning all these different things, and you're obviously you're still in school and everything like that. Do you ever feel like overwhelmed? Is there ever a sense of burnout? If there is, like, how do you overcome that? Because you know, I know for myself, like, I'm not doing half the things that you're doing, and I feel burnout sometimes. So, what's that experience like so far for you? Have you experienced burnout? If so, how did you kind of overcome it?
Yeah, I would say the things that I'm doing, they really don't feel like work. They feel like something I really do love to do, and I just find it really fun, so I want to build these kinds of projects. So, I
Right.
haven't I haven't really experienced any burnout, but I am like sometimes ask like how do you manage school and TCAS, things like that. But it's more like you have the time, you're just choosing to spend it on something else. And so before, in the past, I would spend a lot of time on school, and just like studying repetitively, like for a test, just so that you can regurgitate it, like memorizing information, which isn't really helping you in the long run. If you know something and you're just continuously studying it, then that's probably not the best idea there. So I've taken that and just started managing my time better within school so that I can do other things outside of school. So now I don't really spend any time outside of school doing my schoolwork except for like studying for tests here and there. It's not like insanely busy because I'm a grade 9. But yeah, that's so that now then I get more time cleared up to like all the hours after school. I have time to work on my own projects and writing, things like that. But it's important to keep that balance and not stretch yourself too thin for sure. So I'm making sure that when I'm doing a project, if it's making me feel burned out and if it's making me feel like tired, I'm not gaining anything from it and I'm not finding it fun, then maybe it's just not worth doing. So definitely you need to consider the value of what you're doing if you're spending a lot of time doing it, to maintain your mental health, because that's super.
Yeah, no, for sure. And balance, as you mentioned, is key to it all, right? And it's sometimes difficult to find that balance, right? Because as you mentioned,
Mhm.
you want to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and you don't necessarily feel like those things are like work or don't tire you, but at the same time, you want to be able to take a step back and reflect on certain things. So that's, I think, at least for me personally, and I know for some of the previous guests that we've had on the show, that's kind of where the fine line is drawn, I guess you could say, where finding that balance between, pleasure and work is kind of the difficult side of things. So, again, it's
Mm.
it's amazing to hear that you're able to balance that, because I know for a lot of people, even if they're a university student or even a postgraduate, right? Sometimes working full time and trying either developing a personal business or a side hustle or however you want to call it can be stressful as
Mhm.
well. So I think starting at a young age, and importance of managing your time and prioritizing your time is definitely something that's a skill that's difficult to master. So hopefully that continues to develop for you in the future. And one kind of just quickly again spin off here in terms of that follow up to that answer is, have you ever felt like a project is not worth your time? Like if so, like how do you determine that? Because you had mentioned that if you're not enjoying it and you're not necessarily having fun. Have you experienced that yourself yet so far?
Yeah, so I just finished up this kind of, it was like a moonshot hackathon, and it was 1 month and we were building a project and we got to pitch it to judges. And I was working with this amazing team. Like I really, really loved working with them. It was carbon sequestration, so sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and the ocean while producing clean hydrogen fuel, as well as bicarbonate that can be released into the ocean and combat ocean acidification. And so that was a really cool experience. And
Mhm.
one of my partners was like, I want to go ahead with it. So, does anybody else want to go ahead with it? And it was definitely a hard decision because I wasn't entirely sure. I knew it was going to be a really huge commitment, and I wasn't sure if it necessarily aligned with my values right now, because that was going to take up my time, a lot of the time over the summer, when I could potentially be working on other projects, or going harder at writing or this internship or whatnot. So I think you have to just ask yourself, does it align with what you want? Is this going to be, is this like your passion project? Is it going to make you a more interesting person?
Mhm.
And kind of weighing like the downsides and the benefits. And ultimately, I decided I wasn't going to pursue it just because I feel like I really did love the project and the team. But further down the line, like maybe even next year, I feel like I'll come up with an idea that I do want to go hard at, that I'm just really, really passionate about. And this just for some reason isn't it. So just having that conversation with yourself is really important, because you can't go really hard at every little thing. You have to, pick what you really want to pursue.
Yeah, you have to pick your battles for sure. You can't win them all. So,
Yeah.
um, no, and I think again that just the importance of as well, and it doesn't necessarily overlap entirely with your answer, but something that I've heard a lot, and I guess in either personal life or professional life as well, is the ability to say no, right? And
Yeah.
understanding that not every opportunity is the right opportunity for you, right? It's nice to see, that door being opened and letting you know, like, there, hey, if you want to go through this door and see what's on the other side, by all means go for it, but it's not always going to be the most opportune thing, and whether that be for the timing reasons or the actual result of the opportunity, you never know. But the importance of saying no is definitely a skill, and a skill that I still struggle with still to this day as well. And understanding that it's okay to say no and not to have your entire plate filled up 24/7. So
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
no, that's good. I'm going to switch gears now to more on the writing side of things. Again, something that you mentioned that you enjoy doing a lot, and that you just recently finished a novel as well. And the only other individual that we've had on the podcast so far that is an author is Michael, a couple of episodes ago. And he's a university student, or I think he graduated by now. I'm not 100% sure, but how do you actually get started with that? Like, in terms of the actual publishing side of things, and obviously you have to write the content, and be able to write the book itself, but the publishing side of things, and again, especially at such a young age, how do you kind of wiggle through that maze, so to speak?
Yeah, so in grade 6, I decided that's when I really wanted to get published, and I was like, "I'm gonna go through the entire process." I didn't really know what it looked like, but,
You're right.
what I got a professional editor, and she helped me through 'cause she knew the field,
Hmm.
more than I did, and so she edited the book for me, going back and forth with that took quite a while after I had written up a novel, and then the actual publishing part is a bunch of querying, and so you're querying literary agents, because when you have an agent, it's more likely that you'll like actually get your book shown to a publishing
Right.
house because they have those connections. But I also queried a few publishing houses as well, and that's like a hundred queries that you're sending out. So it's quite time consuming, and you're
Hmm.
sending them usually a few sample chapters, and always your query letter, sometimes a synopsis. Um, and what
Wow.
happened then is, so I did that in grade 6 or 7, that querying part, and I got back one email, and it was like, okay, we don't think you're the right fit, but all you need is one. I was like, okay, well, all you need is one. I've reached out to 100. Piece of pie, piece of pie.
Something's gotta hit.
Like something's gonna work out. No, it did not. I just got like mass rejected, influx of rejections in my inbox. I was like, okay, interesting. It's fine. I'm gonna just go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna write another book. So I wrote another novel in grade 7, and then I was like, I'm gonna try and get it published again. So again, I ran it by my editor. Quite a long process again, and then all the querying once again, and then I actually got a publishing contract from a publishing house called Pegasus Publishing. And then so I wrote it in grade 7. It was released just in grade 9. I'm in grade 9 right now. It was released a few months ago. So it is quite a time consuming process. And again,
Yeah.
it's really important with everything that you do. If you're going to be putting so much time towards something, make sure that it's something you really love and that's bringing you fulfillment and value. And I really did love it. So it didn't feel like work to me when I was doing all that. So yeah, it was a really fun experience. And I'm writing a sequel right now. So we'll be going through it again in a month or so.
And sorry, what's the novel about exactly? The first one?
Yeah, so it's this fantasy magical realism book, and it's about this girl who's adopted into a wealthy family, and her brother has just gone missing. And so they discover this ancient Athenium. They're traveling through these ancient chronicles to retrieve an artifact from each one to save the brother. And
Wow.
so but they only have 5 days in each book, and when they leave the book, all of those characters die. So they're telling themselves that these characters are like illusions, like they're not real people, but they are
Hmm.
realizing that they have emotions. And one of them falls in love with one of the characters. There's this like family drama, things like that. Yeah, it's kind of an overview of what it's about.
No, that sounds good. And sorry, what's the book called?
It's called Chronicles of Illusions: The Blue Wild.
Okay, I'll make sure to put that in the show notes as well,
Thank
if
you.
anyone wants to check that out. Yeah, no worries. And I'm just gonna kind of wind everything together here, and this is a question that has been kind of, as the episode continues to progress, something that came into my mind right now, and something again that's been mentioned a lot in terms of previous episodes and previous guests, and a big portion again of why I'm here today is understanding your why. And what I mean by that, I'm sure you might have heard about it, is like understanding why you're doing things. And you touched upon it a little bit. You're interested about the certain topics that you're learning about, and that passion and interest allows you to continue to learn more and develop all these different projects, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm curious as to, aside of that, like what kind of motivates you each day, right? Like what's kind of like your why for putting in these hours and doing all this work.
Yeah. Well, again, it is something I find really fun, so it does bring me joy for sure. Um, but it's also just knowing that I have the potential to make impact. I feel like I'm really privileged. I have these resources, I have this program, and I
Hmm.
have the potential maybe to make a difference one day. And so I just want to do that. I want to be able to impact people and make a difference in the world. And whether that be through like my sustainable energy projects or my writing, I know that books can have a really big influence on your opinions. So I love to read, and I've seen the influence that words can have. They can just be so, so powerful, and they can carry these really strong messages that you keep with you for the rest of your life. And I want to have that impact on my readers. That's from the writing aspect of it. And then again, from the tech side of it, I want to help play even a minuscule role in the climate crisis, because it's such a big deal right now, and we need more people
Hmm.
tackling it, and so I want to help tackle that.
No, for sure. Great answer. And I guess like a quick follow up to that, like who's your role model right now? Do you have one in terms of? Doesn't even necessarily have to be within kind of your field of work or anything like that, but just in general, like a life role model, someone you look up to.
Yeah. Well, I think even people in my house I look up to, like my dad
For
is
sure,
someone
for
who's
sure.
just a huge role model to me. And he's the one who like he has encouraged me to do these kinds of things and go out, chase my dreams, and given me these opportunities. So he's someone I definitely look up to, and my
It's
sister is my
good.
best friend. So love my sister. She's only a few years older than me, but I definitely look up to her as well. And I have some mentors. So like my city director for the Knowledge Society has acted as an amazing mentor for me. His name is Ian Lockhart. He is
Hmm.
incredible. So, and then outside of people I know, there's definitely many entrepreneurs that I look up to. One of them being Elon Musk. There's the way his brain thinks and the things that he does are just like so
was
so
waiting
awesome.
for him. I was waiting for him to come up.
Yeah, just like he
I
really
was waiting
takes
for
that
him to come up.
unconventional path, just making these groundbreaking, absolutely crazy ideas that make so much impact. And it definitely takes a lot of courage to do that, because some some people might say that's a crazy idea. How could that ever work out? He's like, I'll prove it.
Right.
Yeah, so he's done some pretty cool stuff.
No, that's good. That's good. No, and hopefully you get to meet him one day. Yeah, he's definitely doing a lot when it comes to the way he thinks. I've seen a couple of interviews, and there's this one comment on YouTube that really stuck out to me. Is I feel like his brain moves quicker than his mouth, right? So sometimes it feels like he's not keeping up to what he's thinking and stuff like that. So yeah, he's definitely a very intelligent man, a very smart man, and yeah, he's doing a lot of great things when it comes to the sustainable energy aspect of the world, and I know that's something that's definitely inspires him for the work that he does. But yeah, maybe one day well, I'd like to meet him as well, so hopefully we both get to meet him one day. That'll be on my bucket list. But I guess as well, just kind of again nearing the end of our episode here, and usually, as I mentioned earlier, and as well, my audience members know, the way that I usually wrap up these episodes is asking the guests, like, what would you tell your younger self? But I feel like in this case, that might not be too applicable, right? Because or unless maybe you could give, usually the timeline's like 5 years, right? So you'd be telling your 10-year-old self certain things, but I wanted to kind of flip the script a little bit this time, and maybe what piece of advice would you give to young students such as yourself, high school kind of age range, who are interested in, these different aspects of the world, and regardless of where their interests may lie, like what piece of advice would you give to them, and maybe hopefully they get to hear this episode and feel a little bit inspired as well.
Yeah, I would say my big piece of advice would be don't use your age as a barrier. Don't use it as an excuse, because you can start now. You can start getting interested in these cool things and start taking steps to make impact. You are completely capable of that.
Hmm.
And sometimes youth are looked like, they don't have these kinds of ideas. They can do that when they're older, but really you can start now. And so sometimes there's a fear of failure with that because I'm a kid, I'm just gonna fail, but it is okay to fail. Like failure is an opportunity to learn, it's not a hindrance. So just go for it, try to build projects and actually apply your knowledge. And it's okay to fail, like be completely fine with that, embrace it, and just go for it.
Yeah. No, I like very well said. I like that. And yeah, failure is part of the process, no matter, how young or how old. I think everyone at one point needs to, fail, I guess you could say, to see different things. And I'm not sure if it's an exact quote, and if I'm butchering it completely, I apologize, everyone. But it's like failure is not a failure if you learn from it, right? And something along those lines, right? So you got to learn from the experience, and instead of thinking of it as a failure, you're thinking of it as an experience. And I'm definitely a big advocate of that, and have experienced that, and will probably continue to experience that in the different avenues and the different things that I do in life, right? So first podcast episode, some might consider a failure, but I consider it a very good learning opportunity as to see if this is even something that I want to continue to do. And thankfully it's something that I have continued to pursue, and here we are 52 episodes later. So I'm grateful that that younger Aaron didn't think of it as a failure. So, Nala, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I really do appreciate it again, and thank you for reaching out. And just a quick like disclaimer is like just reached out, cold email or cold messaged me on LinkedIn, and was able to connect with me, and I really admire that ambition. Again, doesn't matter if you're 15 or 30, right? It's just being able to take that risk and be able to just, again, for lack of a better word, shoot your shot when it comes to these professional connections. So thank you again, and I wish you the best of luck. And
Thank you.
where can people find you, and see all the amazing work that you're doing, or connect with you if they wanted to chat more?
Yeah, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. That's kind of where I'm most active. And then you can also keep up with my articles on Medium. So those are the
Okay.
two biggest platforms I'm on.
Sounds good. I'll make sure to add the book, Medium, and her LinkedIn as well in the show notes. And if you're watching this on YouTube, in the YouTube description down below, if you are, I really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button. It does help a lot, and it allows me to know that you guys are enjoying this content. And yeah, thank you again, Nyla. Any kind of
Thank
closing
you.
words or anything like that before we head off?
Yeah, just thank you so much for having me on. And if you're listening to this, just go out and do that thing because you are completely capable.
I like that. Excellent way. Thank you again, everyone. This was Aaron from Beneath Vancouver Radio, episode number 53. Thank you, and take care. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.